bring him on. Mark Sanchez, Fox Sports NFL analyst. Mark is going to give us some. He was doing the Chargers yesterday, which we have staved off the Chargers highlights until the very last segment. It was really you guys were good yesterday, and that game was fun. It was
like a baseball score for a minute, though.
But there was some hitting in that game.
5-2 or 4-2, whatever it was.
Well, they don't have a ton on the perimeter. That's why Ladd McConkey's emergence is so big. So I want to talk about the Hail Mary because Hasselbeck. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Now listen, sometimes they're luck, and then there are mistakes though.
Yep.
Okay, so as we show the Commanders, tell me, for a guy to get behind the defense, there's no box out guy there.
Well, there should be a box out guy there. Obviously, Eberflus talked about Stevenson's got to be that guy, and of course, we all know what happened with him, not paying attention at the start of the snap. Lack of focus, and when that kind of stuff happens. But one of the biggest things that I saw in this play is the ability that Jayden Daniels had to buy that much time. I mean, usually you don't get that much time. This is a long throw. So, I mean, he barely got it to the goal line. The biggest thing is make sure it's in the end zone. Don't throw it out of the back of the end zone. At least give yourself an opportunity. That's a big one. 2 is I need a body for a body on defense. You know what I mean? I need guys boxing people out. Defenders bat the ball down, not up. Offensive players bat the ball up or go snag it. If you have a good enough path to the football, just go grab it and end the game right there. Well, these are the plays that you practice on Fridays, Saturdays. You do your last plays, like the final plays of the game. These are like, you run these more than, to lose like that is... It's tough. There's going to be some tough conversations coaching-wise, and it's embarrassing. It's just an embarrassing way to go down. When you won essentially an ugly game on the road, NFC opponent, and to lose like that because of lack of focus and poor execution on a play that should be just automatic, ingrained in your brain, that's a tough one to swallow.
So I'm kind of theorizing. I watched Brock Purdy in the first half. I thought he was off a little bit. I thought he was
slow start,
off.
Missed Debo,
Yeah, and it's just like, okay. And I've said LeBron's done this. When the jumper's not falling, LeBron's like, let me drive to the basket. I'll get my confidence back, and then he goes back out. I thought Brock Purdy in the second half, and I'm just guessing here, but it's like, I'm going to use my feet. They're good. And then, after a couple first downs, I thought he got his confidence back. He's a young player still. Yeah. But it did feel like at halftime, it's almost like Kyle said, use your feet.
I feel like some of this, and I don't know this for a fact, but like having a former quarterback like Brian Griese as your quarterback coach, I had those tips and reminders, like a tips and reminder sheet, and we would talk at halftime with Matt Cavanaugh,
like
who
what?
played steal me 2 first downs with your legs.
Okay.
On a 3rd and short, if it's not there and it's man-to-man, go, boy. Go. You're going to be fine. You're not the fastest guy. You're not going to rip off a 50-yarder, but if we need 3 yards, you can get me 4. Now we need 5 yards, I might only get you 4.
Right.
So it was one of those things, almost a joke, but you remind your quarterback of stuff like that at halftime. And I feel like having somebody like Griese for Brock Purdy has really helped his development and kept him even keel. And he's got that great demeanor and just understands.
Yeah.
He sees the big picture, it feels like, all the time.
Yeah.
And, like a really good pitcher, when the fastball's a little off or the curveball's not really breaking the right way or something's a little off, okay, I got to find a way to win. The way you mentioned LeBron, I got to get to the basket. I got to get to the foul line and get in a rhythm here.
Sure.
Just so I can keep us in this game. I feel like Brock there's little games within the game, and he can see the whole picture as he's playing. That's why I think he's so valuable. Whether he has all his weapons or not, you saw what happens. And, he knows who his playmakers are. He knows to get the ball to George Kittle on his own holiday.
Right.
Who else has their own holiday? That's crazy. And then goes and balls out on their own holiday.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, Santa Claus. That's crazy.
So, I was saying this. Usually we have some proof that offensive coaches off buys, they install something.
Yep.
Now, you had Rex Ryan. So I always feel like defensive coaches. Like yesterday, Matt Eberflus off a bye. Their first 7 possessions, it was 6 punts.
Yep.
I got nothing. McCarthy, I did think the Cowboys, the inferior roster, gave you a little juice in the first half. But I said this. When I watched Jayden and I watched Caleb, Caleb didn't play well early, but he extended plays. He did the best he could in the second half. He made things interesting. Jayden was a little more even, I felt, from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come off a bye, and I watch Chicago struggle and punt, my takeaway is, okay, he's a rookie. They don't want to heap too much stuff on it.
Right.
Am I being unrealistic to think off a bye, you can't punt 6 times, that you got to have something there? Do they not script plays?
I mean, he's 10 for 24 for 131 yards. Like, that's a tough stat line, right? Get me some completions, manufacture some completions on some easy, rollouts and sprint outs and stuff. Go back to the well on that stuff. But the other thing that a bye week gives you, not just installing, I know what you mean by saying like install, and people would think that's a new concept. It's a lot of self-scout. So most teams will have their defense scout their offense and offense scout their defense as if they were going to play during the bye week. And so you give them tendencies. Hey, 75% of the time when you guys line up in a YY wing set out of 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends with the slot receivers, you run this play. Or it's, outside zone or whatever. Or here's a tell on this or that. So you usually use, after a bye week, your tendency breakers. You show exactly what you've shown all year, and you have something off of it, whether it's a play action off of a run, some sort of run check from a pass look, like whatever. You put in the quarterback draw, whatever it is, because you're 95% throw out of empty, which everybody, you know what I mean? You just come up with something. The Bears just looked, that first half, especially just stale, slow, looked off their rhythm, really. And remember, Caleb has had success with those more conservative game plans. When they went back-to-back, Houston on the road and Indianapolis on the road, and you had to throw it almost 50 times a game, we were complaining that that's probably not the formula. So he only throws it 21 times, but if you're only going to complete 10 of those 21, I mean, that's a tough way to play. So look at the Lions yesterday. I mean, they hung half 100 or 52 points on somebody, and Jared Goff didn't even throw for 100 yards. He threw for like 84 yards, 15 passes.
Right.
So if that's going to be your formula, then you got to run the ball right. You got to steal me some completions when you can. I think it was 12 of 15. Yeah. So for Caleb, it's like, we got to steal some of those completions early in games, get off to a faster start, give me 3 points on our opening drive, something to get the juice going on offense.
Speaking of Detroit, you had a pretty good offensive line when you broke into the NFL. Mm-hmm. I was saying Goff is good to begin with. It's like he's on a recliner. I mean, he's literally
cooking steaks, medium well.
I mean, Mark, he's throwing on 2nd and 4 a lot. Yeah. Take me through that. Go to your best offensive line. I think sometimes fans don't realize the difference between throwing on 2nd and 8 and 2nd and 4.
It's huge.
The linebackers are. I mean, take us through that.
I mean, defenses want to get you in 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8 plus. Right? That's like their goal, and they feel like they're ahead. Think of like a pitcher and a batter, right? You want to get the first strike. Batter wants you to throw a ball. Sure. Like, boom. Okay, now you're ahead. Well, that gets you into 3rd and manageable. And when you have a team that can run the ball like this, I mean, the offensive line we had in New York, my rookie year, we were like top 4 in NFL history of like rushing with Bill Callahan, our offensive line coach, Shoddy, our offense coordinator. But, from left to right, it was DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Alan Faneca, Nick Mangold, Brandon Moore, and then Damian Woody, who had won a Super Bowl as a center for Tom Brady in New England. Like, these were 5 blocks of granite. And then Wayne Hunter was our swing tackle, who was a stud in his own right. So we went jumbo with Tony Richardson, and I mean, I'm going like glory days. Cue up Bruce Springsteen, sorry. But with Tony Richardson, who was a 1,000-yard rusher in his own right in Kansas City, then came over, played fullback for Thomas Jones, who's our running back. Like, are you kidding me? So on 3rd and 6, we could run power with the fullback on the field and still get a first down. So especially to overcome some of my rookie mistakes. Yeah. Well, the second year, when we had most of those pieces back, and you start to understand protections and what we're doing in protection and what the running back's responsibility is and how to pick up blitzes and all that, these guys would just handle it, and you get to play free. Those were some of my favorite moments because you just get to go, it's like 7-on-7. Hey, Mangold's going to take care of me. We're good. Just tell me the mic point. All right, we got it. Like, let's roll. And when you have an offensive line like that, it makes your life as a quarterback so much easier. Did you
get how good they were early?
I don't think I appreciated it until we didn't have it. As much as I should have. Sure. I appreciated it. But once you start getting hit all the time and you're like, man, we're in 2nd and 10 a lot. Like, what happened to our run game?
Right.
Guys get injured, guys go down. You're like, whoa, we had it pretty damn good. This was nice. So it's I I think Jared Goff has seen both sides. Remember his rookie year, he got knocked around real good.
The first year in Detroit wasn't pretty.
Oh, exactly right. I mean, that was a rebuild. He's been a part of 2 rebuilds. Think about that. And one of them took him to a Super Bowl, and this team, lost in the playoffs last year, but this is a team that's going to go far. They're a problem. And 2 rebuilds for a quarterback, and he's going to potentially go to 2 Super Bowl. I mean, that's incredible in his own right. But he also knows what he has and plays to that strength.
Yeah, I like that you admit that because that O-line was great. When you come in as a rookie, your USC lines were good. I mean, so you're thinking, I only have good O-line.
There's literally clips in Oakland I can distinctly remember, and we go through a double cadence, and I just completely zoned out, and I go, Nick, what do you like? Because we're either running right or left, and I'm looking at it like, I can't really decide. And you see Nick go like this, raise his right hand, and so we run the play to the right, literally a 20-yard touchdown. I'm high-fiving all the coaches after. They're like, great check, Sanchez, great check. I'm like, thanks.
Mark Sanchez, who did the Chargers game and the Saints yesterday, and Justin Herbert, we were talking during the break. If I was the Jets, I'd move off a corner. You need to accumulate some draft picks. The Chiefs have already made a move today to get a Patriot. You understand Jacksonville's got a corner a lot of people could like. That could work for a couple of teams. I think the Chargers are good enough. I think they could be a wild card team, although Denver's been surprising.
I know. It's going to be a tight race with those two.
Although Denver's schedule toughens a little. But the Chargers, to me, and I'll let you take it away, Mark, feel like they need something on the perimeter.
It would definitely help their cause and help Justin Herbert. But I think when you talk about this team, you got to understand their makeup and Jim Harbaugh. He's obviously an eccentric guy. He's a little quirky. He's, he said last week in his press conference, the worm has turned and like we're out of our rut and here we come. He's got these great sayings and all those things. But he wants to be a hard-nosed, downhill, run-the-ball team, stingy defense, which Jesse Minter, their defensive coordinator, has implemented. They're one of the top scoring defenses, if not the top scoring defense in the league. Tough to get points on them. They're great in the red zone. They had 6 sacks yesterday against the Saints, and this is a team heading in the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
And the story of this game, when you get to this part of the season, is players making plays. The Johnnies and Joes, not just the X's and O's. And these 2 clips are so indicative of a Harbaugh team. And he always says, competitors welcome, right? He's got guys like Scott Matlock, guys you've never heard of, that play D-tackle, that play fullback, that had a sack yesterday and a catch for 9 yards. This guy, Matlock, 44. When he's in the game, it's 75% run. He has guys like that. Ladd McConkey, former walk-on at Georgia, becomes a legend down in Athens between the hedges because he's a baller, right? Those kind of guys make plays. So watch Ladd McConkey on this first play. When we roll this clip, you see it's man-to-man, across the board, tight ball game, 9-5. Chargers are, both teams are kind of going back and forth, trading blows, and nobody knows what's going on. Well, Matlock, this is like a rerun of the old Matlock. I know they rebooted it with Kathy Bates, but I'm talking Andy Griffith, old school Matlock, right? And this guy's going to solve the case. He's going to understand what you need to do. Same thing with Ladd McConkey. This guy's in the slot. He understands it's man-to-man across the board. He knows he's going to have to win a one-on-one matchup. They show run based on their formation and Matlock being in the game. It's almost 75% chance that it's going to be a run. So what does Greg Roman do? He breaks the tendency after a bye week and shows, hey, let's show him a little sugar on this fake to the running back and cross up these linebackers. Watch what it does to the linebackers. One of them has to cover Matlock. One of them has to cover J.K. Dobbins, and these linebackers get crossed up. It opens up the middle of the field where they want to go with the football to Simi Fehoko, one of their receivers. And look what it does. Boom, there go the backers. There goes the cross action. Herbert has to get rid of this ball because Colin Saunders is right on. They have plenty of protection, but Colin Saunders somehow slips through this gap. There's nobody open. There is nowhere to throw this football. And there's a dude in his face about to level Justin Herbert, and what does he do? He just throws up a jump ball, a one-on-one, 50-50 ball. And the thing that's most important is Ladd McConkey, he gives his quarterback room. He's completely covered by Alontae Taylor. This is great coverage by Alontae Taylor. He did nothing wrong here. But Ladd McConkey just went up and competed for the ball, got it. And then Josh Palmer has to make a block for him later because he slipped on his own route. I mean, one of their guys that they expected to potentially be their playmaker after Keenan Allen goes, Eckler's gone, Mike Williams is gone. this guy's got to step up. Josh Palmer, he falls down, and you're throwing to a rookie, former walk-on from Georgia with a fullback who also plays defensive tackle, blocking for the quarterback, and you still get pressure in your face. So the play was completely dead. The Saints had him. They shouldn't have made that play. It was one guy making a play, not beating a scheme, right? And we're going to see that same theme on this next red zone play. Now they get down to the red zone. Will Dissly was a defensive tackle for 2 years at the University of Washington.
That's right.
Okay? He last week had 11 targets and 8 catches. Yesterday had 6 or so catches or whatever it was. But he's number 1 in your progression. I mean, no offense to Will Dissly, but that's just usually not. He's not George Kittle. He's not. I know. So I'm saying this is what Justin Herbert's working with. Then he's got Dobbins on the halfback Texas route or the angle route. Your feet have to be set to throw that thing. He immediately hops to the right. He knows this play is dead. What does Jim Harbaugh say? Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Right. Who's open on this play? Nobody. There is nothing here for Justin Herbert. I mean, if he wanted to maybe fire that thing to Dobbins, maybe. But he goes and becomes Superman. I mean, look at that logo. What is that logo? He needs a hoop on the 15-yard line right there, and he's Jordan dunking from the free throw line, man. Like this, you can't even see Ladd McConkey. You can't even see him. Ugo Amadi is completely covered him. And Ladd McConkey, he just throws it to his guy. He's been the most consistent receiver for this offense because of 2 abilities, availability and his reliability. This guy is dependable, man, and he just shows up at the right time. But those are 2 crucial plays for the Chargers.
Oh, that was the game
right there. Those 14 points were the game. And that is not, those aren't scripted for success right there. Those plays are dead.
So that's why I think, Mark, to your point, they need help.
They could use a playmaker, somebody that can really elevate, that can really separate in man-to-man. I mean, there were no separators, right? We saw the man-to-man clip. There's nobody just running free. And I understand it's the NFL. These guys aren't going to be wide open. But come on, man. I mean, Justin Herbert needs a little help. And this is such a shift from their identity. I mean, think about the Chargers as an organization. Dan Fouts, throw it all around the yard. Phillip Rivers, throw it all around the yard. The first 4 years of Herbert's career, he's got over 18,000 passing yards. I mean, this guy can sling the rock now, but we're going to run it 50 times a game now, so he's adjusting to it. I think how many times have I done that to this mic? This poor mic, sorry. But how many times are they going to, or how difficult, rather, is this transition for Justin Herbert? It's just a complete shift in identity, and he's mentioned it a couple times in their press conference of what this team is.
This just came down.
Uh-oh.
So
breaking news.
Well, Anthony Richardson struggled. He's young. He only played 13 college games, but he pulled himself out yesterday, and when asked why, he said, I was tired. So Shane Steichen's a terrific coach. He used to be a Chargers on the Chargers staff. Shane Steichen, when asked if Anthony Richardson will start on Sunday at Minnesota, quote, we're evaluating everything.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's not great. And by the way, he runs so much. I get that he's tired, but I don't think I would have admitted that. I would have said ankle got sore.
I think my hammy's tight. I don't know.
I wouldn't have said I'm tired.
Well, the good thing is, Flacco's there.
Isn't that great?
This guy just
seems
to figure it out, man.
Give me a...
And I love it. I remember sitting at a Jets practice in the offseason when he was backing up Zach Wilson. He was the veteran presence for Zach Wilson. I want to say rookie year, second year, whatever. But I just remember sitting in there eating lunch with him and talking through career and highs and lows. And we had this great conversation. I just said, how many more you got left? He goes, oh, man, you know me. I'm a lifer. They got to drag me out of this place.
Really?
Like they got to tell me I'm done because I'm never done. Like, I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. And I loved that answer from him. And I got to do a sit-down interview with him last year when he was with the Browns. And I just really appreciate how much his family supports him. He's like just a solid guy, and they know he's on this incredible journey, and he's still got plenty of gas in the tank. So if I'm a Colts fan, I'm not too worried.
Well, he was always a big body with a big arm.
Huge guy, just a mountain of a man and big arm, big-time arm. So I love watching it. You can just tell. He sees the big picture. Yeah. He's having a blast. And, he's having as much fun as you can have playing the position, almost like a rookie or like a kid playing out in the street. But he knows so much, because he's long in the tooth. He's been around so long. I mean, this guy He's a class act.
Yeah, and I actually think Indy's got a lot of pieces. The kid who made the catch yesterday was down at the 1, the smaller receiver. What is it again, Greg? Yeah, Josh Downs. And Pittman. Jonathan Taylor never goes down with a first hit.
I know. He's great back. I love Pittman.
So do I.
They have some pieces.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.